This is the book of Second Ezra, chapter 8. We'll start at verse 49 and it reads, start at verse 48, and it reads, Second Ezra 8 and 48. In this also thou art marvelous before the Most High, in that thou hast humbled thyself as it becometh thee, and hast not judged thyself worthy to be much glorified among the righteous. So, the scriptures talk about how the Most High deals with a humble spirit. Verse 50, and it reads, For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. So you hearing that the Lord dealing with somebody that's low, humble, and meek, but being proud, basically, it's going to bring judgment to a person and to a nation. So I want to start off by giving all praises, all honor, and all glory to call Loyum La Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Kodash Rakatham. Double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone, teaching do rule well, peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing his truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwath, as well as the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad and land of other nations, which appear like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom. So this is the brother Yahweh Sop out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant. I'm coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Shemel Shai. This lesson is in regards to an article I seen on my news break app, and it's going into basically the common calamities in regards to this inflation. And I ain't gonna read the whole article. I'm just bring a little bit out, but the point is, it's talking about the future, and the future is basically going to bring evil. When you go into the word evil, it's a compound word, eve meaning time, ill meaning bad. So bringing bad times. So, which is all scriptural, matter of fact, let me get this. It's in, what is this? Second Ezra chapter 16. And I'm going to start at verse 5, and it reads, Plagues are sent out unto you. What is he that may drive them away? Skipping down, it says, verse 14, Behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Verse 19, Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Verse 20, But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Because at the end of the day, and I always use the analogy of the lockdowns. You had Jake, as well as Esau, Edom, and the heathens. These Babylonians, basically, when they was locked down, they was questioning, curious, what's going on, and that kind of put them in a certain spirit of fear. When as soon as everything opened back up, they increased their wickedness for real. Now it's spiritual, because I was listening to the brother Michael Olive from LA, and he was going into how an article where it said 41% of Christians, that's those that don't even have the full truth. They just subscribe to the scriptures, the Bible. They say that they feel they living in the end times. So they on point on that, because we are in the end times. The scriptures talk about in the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3 that in the last days perilous times shall come. When you go into the word perilous, it basically goes into dangerous. Are we not in dangerous times? So again, people, a scourge is like a whipping. An amendment is supposed to enact change. Well, the point of a whooping, like when you, use the rod of correction on your child, is to enact change, because maybe they was doing or exhibiting a behavior that wasn't, sufficient. So you basically scourge them with the whip or the belt or the rod of correction to literally get them in order. But and I'm going through something spiritually like right now with my children, and at the end of the day, I realized that basically, like, I pray the Lord, get my household in order, but at the same time, the Lord will test you through your household. He'll break up your household. And to prove that, look at Job. You know, these people really don't have an understanding of the scriptures, and that's why a lot of these people gonna be fucked up when all hell break loose. Like these people ain't gonna have no understanding. You know, the same entity and the same spirit that you worshiping, that you asking for deliverance from, is the same one that's gonna bring the pain. I bet you never understood or heard that before. You know, they. I'm not about to digress though. Salakia. But point being, you know, it said plagues being sent for. So the plagues are sent out, and the plague. One of the plagues is this inflation, because basically, you know, it goes into you know, not having enough. You know, the Lord is. It talks about in the scriptures the Most High, the Lord of Sabaoth. When you go into the word Sabaoth, it basically means host or armies. So the Lord can use anything as an army, from people to the plagues, to the insects, to the Alahayim, which is the angels, to, you know, the left-hand spirits. You know, I'm going to read a little bit of this article. It reads, Americans, and this is just as a prelude or a heads up on the new year. You know, you got all these news outlets literally telling you point blank period that, you know, it's going to be layoffs beginning next year. It's going to be higher food costs. Everything's going to be more expensive. They're making you aware of this. They don't let you waste all this money on these bullshit ass holidays. And then I put an article in our group chat. They was just talking about how people literally, you know, file their taxes. Well, basically they're going to do something with the earned income this year where they don't have to just basically give it to you like immediately. Now I got to really read into it in depth, but pretty much just looking over it, that's what it said. And it's not a coincidence with these devils hiring all these tax agents. This devil got a whole trick for you, because who would just willingly give up? You know, power is an aphrodisiac. You know, it's power. You know, once you've had everything, what do you want? You want power. You know what I mean? Like, that's why some of these fucking people with money do some of the weird shit that they do, you know? Because it goes beyond, okay, well, I done ate every good thing. I done hit all these women. You know what I mean? Like, what's next? Since Americans still haven't felt the worst of the war on inflation, meaning 2023 will be survival of the fittest. That's a hell of a statement to make. But basically, I've been saying it all week. You know, it's going to come down to, you know, people ain't going to care about you got a family they're going to want to take, because that's how people are. You know what I mean? Especially in America. You know what I mean? You know, like, and that's just facts. You've had Americans go to other countries where people have had less, and they've looked out for Americans. I mean, when you go into the history of what they did to Gad, who you people ignorantly call the North American Indians, you know, they came here fucked up, and Gad showed them how to be able to survive on the land, and they took the land from Gad. The Federal Reserve hiked interest rates 7 times during 2022 to fight inflation, but it takes time for Americans to actually feel the impact of those rate increases. This means businesses and consumers could be in for the worst in the new year. And the thing is this, I mean, and people don't want to believe, but scriptures tell you in the book of Romans chapter 3, verse 3, so what if some did not believe? You know, does it make the faith of Yahweh Shah of none effect, roughly paraphrase? Just because you don't believe doesn't mean it's not going to happen. Eggs are $7. No, eggs are $8, $7.99. And the thing is this, what you don't understand is they don't want to correct this. They want to switch the system over to a digital system. So they're going to let this shit get outrageous to the point where eggs be $35 for an 18 pack. It says, when you adjust the faucet in your shower, there's often a lag of several seconds before the water temperature changes and you can feel the effects. That's the unfortunate situation the nation's central bank is finding itself in right now. Former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers said in February, he's referring to the waiting period between the 7 interest rate hikes the Federal Reserve had. And it's spiritual too. They did 7 hikes. When you go into the number 7, 7 is for completion. So the thing is this, what they're telling you is these hikes is going to affect the money to the point where shit going to get ridiculously high. And, you know, again, this is not going to check anything. It's going to get to the point because people are already struggling now. I was listening to the brother Awarwan from Men of Valor, and I forgot the name of the channel he was watching, but he was talking about it's a prepper channel, and the dude, whoever the prepper is, he goes into basically reading, comments from people that subscribe to him, and people taking a beat. You know what I mean? Like people, especially right after these stupid ass these satanic high holy days. Well, when you go into Christmas and Thanksgiving and all that, that's just pagan shit. But you got real satanic high holy days as a spirit, because the elder Apostle Gabar was just going into that. When you go into satanic holidays, you got satanic holidays. You know what I mean? Like when you go into Samhain, which people don't realize is Halloween. But that's a satanic high holy day. It says he's referring to the waiting period between the 7 interest rate hikes the Federal Reserve has implemented since January 2022 and marked cool down in inflation and American spending. While it's been billed as an aggressive strategy, the majority of the pain from the fight against inflation is yet to come. And I'm going to stop right there. Well, I'm going to read this part. It says, fairly quickly, higher rates made borrowing money to buy a car or a house more expensive. There's also something economists call a long and variable lag, which is the period of time between implementation of a monetary policy like raising interest rates and results. So they done raised the rates 7 times, it said, and I forgot when I just know they just recently raised it the last time, I think by 75 points. Now, I think they did it 75 points each time. So basically they saying it's going to be a time period like we haven't really seen the results of that raising the interest rates, but you have seen it to a degree. That's why eggs is $7.99. Why do you think they're giving you all these extra stamps and shit? You know what I mean? Like the fuck. So basically that's gonna go into hard times. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 11, and it reads, "And I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible." And hard times or bad times or evil times do that, That you got people that are proud, but like in that movie Trading Places, the whole moral of it was you had a proud, snobbish Edomite that basically got put in a low position. And that changed his outlook on life. You know what I mean? I'm gonna bring this scripture out in the book of I was gonna bring out that Amos 8. I quoted Ezekiel chapter 7. So the scriptures talk about this is the book of 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 17, and it reads, "For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of the Most High, and if it first begin at us, what shall the end be of them that obey not the gospel of the Most High?" And so basically saying judgment gonna begin with those that know they Israelites. And who does these higher prices affect first and foremost? You Israelites, you so-called niggas, you so-called Negroes, or so-called black people, you so-called Hispanics, you so-called Mexicans, everybody that's basically, because when you go into, and you got to realize that we got to be the people, because when you go into like the word ghetto, and then when you go and look at certain old dictionaries, it talks about the place, a ghetto was where the Jews dwelled at. The Jews right now don't dwell in the ghettos. They live in prominent neighborhoods. The niggas that live in the ghettos look like you and me, and those that are in a low state in this society. So again, with this higher prices, who is that going to affect first and foremost? It talks about the poor. When you read the book of Isaiah chapter 10, it talks about the poor and needy of my people. When you go into the book of Revelation chapter 6, and the point is verse 6, it reads, "And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." When you go into that word penny, it means denarius. And that was the unit of payment for a soldier, a Roman soldier at the time. But that was like a day's wage. Well, it's saying a measure of wheat for a penny is going to cost you a day's wage to basically be able to buy food. The average person, I mean, what they said basically, and I remember when they was always talking about raising the interest. I mean, the unemployment, not the unemployment, Salaki, the minimum wage to $15. Now Amazon came in with this $15, but look at the price. Look at, I remember when my dad worked at the post office. I believe my dad made like $8 back then. Now I got 3 children. My dad had 5. He was able to take care of us off of $8 because of the way the money was. You get what I'm saying? So that $8, because things were so cheap back then, like that's back when a Snickers probably cost a 25 cents or some shit like that. Yeah, remember at one point a Snickers was a nickel. Now Snickers is $1.50. You figure it out. So that's the inflation. Because when you go in the book of Habakkuk chapter 2, it talks about basically debt. No, not debt. The clay, the thick clay, which is the debt. Because when you go into this money, this fiat currency, the American dollar, it's a debt note. So, we got harder times coming. And if you ain't in the spirit of the Lord, you're going to be fucked up out here. Because, you know what I mean? You got people that already done lost faith. But it tells you in the book of Habakkuk chapter 2 that the just shall live by faith. A nigga going to live by carnality. What he could see, what he could, could feel. But with the times coming, put it like this. When you think about the voyage that our forefathers made on them ships, when you go back into slavery and listen to some of the old Negro spirituals that they talk about, they actually was singing about stuff that we preach right now. So at the end of the day, they had to have hope and faith in something beyond, because, it's already been documented and people to discuss that what our forefathers went through while they try to make it seem like we are such a weak ass people. We are the people, too many nations couldn't have survived that. It was such a harsh, brutal, punishment, because the Lord said he's going to give us a harsh, brutal punishment for breaking the law, statutes, and commandments. And that's why in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, talks about to go into Egypt again with ships. People don't even understand Egypt was not a country. That was the so-called white man name in that. That's when you go into the word Egypt, it means bondage. Mizraim was the name of the ancient land where Egypt was at. Or where get it, because it ain't meant for everybody to get it. So how the fuck the Most High God love everybody? Just and a nigga ain't stupid. A nigga be able to figure out so much or how to get money or do this and do that. But nigga, you figure this out. How is God all love if literally he ain't letting everybody know the truth? The book of Isaiah chapter 54 and verse 17, it reads, "No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper." So even with this orchestrated famine by Esau Edom, that's really the will of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, a true servant of the Lord, a faithful servant of the Lord, this famine, it is not going to prosper, because, although it's a plague, at the end of the day, it's used to test and to actually punish the wicked. All these judgments ain't meant to punish the righteous. It's meant to punish, because take the time to think about this. If the whole world is getting fucked up, right? But then you got a select few individuals that actually no harm touched them, then that proves that the Lord have a chosen people he love. You know what I mean? That's like if a motherfucker come into a store and shoot up or in a school and shoot up the whole school, but spare a certain amount of people because he had some kind of love or feelings towards that people. It says, Isaiah 54 and verse 17, "No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua." So the point is, it tells you in the book of Psalms chapter 91 that he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So meaning the Lord is going to protect You know, it talks about in the scriptures that the Most High gonna fight for thee and revenge thee. All we got to do is continue to do our job, which is prophesying the downfall of this wicked ass kingdom, trying to get our people to come back to the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High, and just sit back and wait. You know. So if you so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole, Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the laws, statutes, commandments of your power, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praises, all honor, all glory to call Loyim La Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Racha, Kodash B'Katam. Double honors to my apostles, the elders of the great millstone who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwat, as well as the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, which appear like the other nations, but whom subscribe to the truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time I'm able to come with another lesson. Shalom, shalom. Shalom.